I'm Andrea Keith. I am the Executive Director of Let Grow. And for today, I am primarily playing moderator. That means I get to take care of any technical issues, keep track of questions, and all of that good stuff. And I'm also a pseudo guest since I am here kind of representing Gen X and grew up in the 80s. I was in middle school and high school in the 80s, or in the time frame, I should say, of Stranger Things, and graduate of 1985 from high school. So if I have anything I can add, I certainly will, because I did live it, and I was a mall rat, for those of you who know what that means. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started now. Just to let everybody know, this is being recorded. And because it's being recorded, we will send that to anybody afterwards. The nice thing is you will get an email, usually by the end of today, that will have the link to the recording. And anybody who registered and wasn't able to log in live will also get those. Plus, it will also then be available on our website. So our format is our usual informal interview discussion, although this time we've got a panel of multiple people on it, so that'll be fun. Everyone in the audience will remain on mute. If you have any questions that you want to ask of any of the panelists, you can put that in the Q&A, please. We'll leave the last 15 minutes of the webinar for Q&A, and I will take the questions from there. So if you have something that you want to actually have addressed live, go ahead and put that in there rather than in the chat. So the Q&A button is at the bottom of your screen to do that at any point. The webinar, sorry, I already said that part. See, this happens when I start looking at things. Anyway, you'll also get a copy of the chat log when you get the webinar. So Let Grow's mission is to bring back independence, free time, and play to childhood. And it used to be normal for kids to ride their bikes to friends' houses and ask them to play and to not go home for hours. But most kids today don't have that experience. So the Netflix series Stranger Things, which one of the kids just informed me actually started in 2016, which puts me a little behind the game. I binged just this year, I caught up. Makes that a little bit unusual for them, that the series seems really far-fetched, and it's not the upside down that's hard to believe. I don't think any of us has any problem doing that whole suspension of disbelief, if you know that phrase from school, and believing that there may be monsters in the upside down. But it's the lack of supervision by those parents that seems so strange to kids today, and a lot of parents today too. So that's why we brought together today's panel of young fans to talk about this craziness. And since I'm a member of the high school graduating class of 85, I might jump in for some fact checking. By the way, we can't predict the discussion, so it's quite possible there may be a few spoilers. If you're not fully up current on the show, I will apologize if that happens. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to our president and co-founder, Lenore Skenazy. Everybody can turn on their cameras and join us. And have to say that I'm really proud of Lenore. I've known Lenore for a couple of years now, and she is not a big television watcher, but gave in to peer pressure just weeks ago, I think it was, and started watching Stranger Things. So Lenore, over to you.
That's absolutely true, Andrea. I hadn't watched the show, even though people have been writing to me about it for, I guess, since 2016. But they're also saying slimy monsters, dangerous stuff, scary. And I'm such a wimp about everything except childhood independence that I literally hadn't watched it. And now I absolutely love it, but I'm not up to date. So I think most of you know me. I'm Lenore. I am not only president of Let Grow, I started the free range kids movement. That started almost back in the 80s. It started about 15 years ago. And the reason everybody was writing to me about the show was because there was like a longing among so many parents saying, did you see that? Do you remember those days? And I do remember the days, even from before Andre was around, of being on my bike and riding to the, getting candy a lot of times. That was sort of and Mad Magazine, and going to the library and doing things on my own. And what you have to know about Stranger Things, I'm only up to season 3, is that it's not that these are characters that you've never seen before. There's the loving and wonderful and brave parents, and then there's the clueless, checked out parents, and there's the evil authorities, and there's the really good ones trying to create a better world. But the kids are so familiar. And at least to me, and I think to Andrea, and I think to our listeners here, and I'm really curious about whether they remind our panel today, our very first panel of kids, real childhood experts, if they seem like kids that they would meet today or be today. So let me introduce our panelists. Here we go. Morgan Lips, numero uno here, first one who signed up for this panel. Morgan's about to be a sophomore at Wakefield High School in Arlington, Virginia, where she plays on the girls' JV softball team. Right on. She volunteers at Lost Dog and Cat. I think some of us who've been watching the show know how one cat was lost. Yum, yum. And she was a 2019 recipient of the Daughters of the American Revolution Youth Citizenship Award. That sounds pretty cool. Morgan enjoys sports, history, and searching online for news and theories about Stranger Things, which is what I was doing all morning. So welcome, Morgan. Silas, we got you here. Silas Kleinfelter. He's 12 years old, entering 7th grade. Hi. Thanks for piping in. You attend a public Spanish immersion dual language school in Kentucky. So I think you have to say hola, right? Hola. Been in that program since kindergarten, I think. And he plays the viola in the orchestra, is on the basketball team. He loves Stranger Things, which is why he's here. Riding his bike, hanging out with friends, and playing video games, which sounds exactly like everybody on Stranger Things. And he also likes to bake because he loves sweets. That's my favorite thing too. AJ, yo, AJ. Hi. AJ Troxel is 11. He lives in Santa Clara, California, obviously with his uneaten cat. He plays football, basketball, baseball, and he's going to attend a STEM program at a brand new middle school this fall, which I think you're missing today to do this, right? All right. Hope you don't fall too far behind. He plays video games and is teaching himself video production. AJ, we need people who know video production, who want to be young interns at Let Grow, so we can talk after this. In addition to Stranger Things, he's also a fan of, say, Naruto or Naruto. And take yourself off mute. Take yourself off mute.
Naruto.
Naruto. Okay. He loves Naruto and other anime, I guess, right? And Star Wars. The Let Grow thing one of my sons used to do after middle school every day was go to the bookstore and read all the One Piece animes. You guys know One Piece? Huh? Yeah, everybody knows about me. Anyways, he was not particularly well loved at that bookstore because we bought very few, but there he was. So thank you for coming here. Thank your parents who are watching and anybody else who's here. And what got you into the show? Just tell me that. I mean,
well, I actually started watching it with my mom in like probably 2017.
Wait, how old were you then? 2017. It's 5 years ago.
8.
Wow.
No, wait, that doesn't make sense.
You were never 8?
2019 was when season 2 came out. So I was probably 8.
Okay. Was it scary?
No, I didn't get scared. I just thought it was very interesting.
Wow. How about you guys? When did you start?
I got involved with Stranger Things. The start of quarantine, my dad introduced it to me, and it had been introduced to me prior to it, but I think I got a couple minutes into the first episode, and it was too scary for me, but I binge watched it and got really into it. Yeah.
Wow. How about you, Silas? Who brought you in?
I watched it with my family when I started season 1 when I was about 7. But my parents had already seen season 1 and they liked it, so they introduced it to me and my brother.
Wow. Okay. And do you guys have a favorite character or a favorite episode or anything like that?
Steve Harrington's mine.
Everybody loves Steve Harrington. Yes. Wait, I guess, do you want to briefly explain the show in case some people are not aware of what it's about? Anybody willing to jump in and say it? It's about a small town in Indiana where what? How about AJ?
Well, am I allowed to spoil parts of it?
No,
I'd say you can spoil up till the end of season 3 for those of us who haven't seen season 4, but go
anybody
ahead.
on here who hasn't seen it is aware that they are potentially going to hear a spoiler, but they'll deal with it.
All right, what's it basically about though?
It's about a bunch of monsters from another dimension terrorizing a single town.
Mm-hmm. Who's fighting them? Who's fighting the monsters? Yeah.
Well, these kids, well, mostly kids, but sometimes there's
the adults try, right?
There's a couple parents.
Yeah.
Winona Ryder is back. I'm always happy to see that. She's so cool. All right, so let's talk about those kids for a second, because it really is the kids who are going in there and being very brave and coming up with solutions, some of which work, some of which are dumb, right? And so what did you think when you're seeing the kids hopping on their bikes all the time? How does that feel knowing that you're in 2022?
I mean, it was really interesting watching it and just seeing how much freedom the kids had to be able to, I mean, with the Wheeler family, their parents don't even ask where they're going. They just leave the house as they please and go to the mall or wherever they really go. And their parents don't really seem to care that their kids are off and they have no idea where they could be.
Wow. Does that strike you as something that you're seeing today with your friends, AJ or Silas? Can your friends just ride their bikes?
No. I mean, I ride my bikes with my friends, but I always have to ask their parents.
Mm-hmm.
I have to ask my parents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
But also,
I don't know if you're frozen or if I interrupted you, but go on. I don't know if Silas is hard to hear for anybody else, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Silas, we want to hear what you're saying. It's coming through horribly.
I think his Wi-Fi is messing up.
Yeah. Okay. You know what he needs is a walkie-talkie. Those things work all the time. They even go to another dimension.
Yeah, he's unfortunately Silas is frozen again.
Silas is silenced. Okay, try if you can hear us, just try logging in again. And in the meantime, I'll ask AJ. AJ, tell me about like what it seems like when you're watching those kids do all this stuff on their own.
Thought it was really cool that they could do that kind of stuff. Because like I kind of get to do that stuff, but like I have to tell them where I'm going. Like if I want to go to the park or if I want to like go to my friend's house and then go to the park, I have to like tell them that I'm going to the park. But I can't go really far. Like, cause my friend's house is like, he's pretty far from me, but it only takes me like 5 minutes or maybe under 5 minutes to get to my friend's house. On my bike. Yeah. So.
Can I ask you a park question? When you go to the park, you tell your parents you're going to the park, you ride there. Are there other kids there and everybody just plays together or what?
Yeah, there's other kids there. Because the park is right next to all my friends, but I'm the only one who lives kind of far away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So other kids go to the park and they like play basketball and stuff.
Like
And,
starting at, like how young are the youngest kids who are there at the park just by themselves? Do you have any idea?
my age,
Okay, what, that's like 11 or 12?
maybe 10,
Oh, wow, okay,
10, 9.
okay. That's very cool. And Morgan, I have no idea. You're in the suburbs of DC, basically, right?
Yeah.
So what do kids do when? Things that you
Yeah.
can admit, right?
So I'm lucky enough to be in like walkable distance of a lot of restaurants and different little places. And
Uh-huh.
so my best friend lives right down the street. And so since I was 9 or 8, I've been allowed to just sort of walk over to her house, knowing that's where I'm going.
Mhm.
And from there, we'll go walk down to the CVS and get like snacks or candy,
Mhm.
or we'll go out to dinner just a couple blocks away. But it's
Wow.
definitely not like in Stranger Things where they can just walk out. It's more, okay, you do have my location. If anything happens, I'm going to go over here. I'll text you when I get there.
Mhm.
All of that sort of things, which you don't see in Stranger Things. They don't even have cell phones to be able to do any of that.
What do you think about that? No cell phones.
Yeah. Well, I just don't know how you'd like make plans if you're going to the mall. Like, how would you meet up with someone? You're just you gotta
Okay,
figure it out.
you know those things that were attached to the wall in the show?
The payphones, the like
No, not even
Well,
payphones,
the home
home
phone.
phones.
oh the home phones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we did. I mean, we just, we'd call or we'd plan at your age. When I had, I mean, I had a lot of freedom, but going to the mall by myself, usually required a mom or dad dropping us off or something.
Yeah.
So we would plan that frequently kind of at school and agree to what time we'd meet and where. So so we kind of did that on top of it. And then you do things like, I don't know, show up and hope your friend showed up because you couldn't text and
Yeah.
say, are you here yet?
I think finding them would be a issue. It might be.
No, then you'd say we're gonna meet in front of
It would
the
be something like we always
donut
met in
shop.
front of Claire's or something at the,
Videos are
and
not turning on.
you just hang out there until your friend showed up. I mean, there were so many kids in the mall.
Mhm.
Hey, Silas is back. Silas, we're asking about, whether you're allowed to or whether you see a lot of kids just like making their own. We didn't even used to call them play dates, and it sounds embarrassing to call them play dates for kids your age. What do you call them? You don't call them play dates, do you?
No, like, I don't, yeah,
I see
just,
somebody like
yeah, hanging out.
Yeah, yeah. So who does the planning? I mean, is it your parents or is it you who plans these hanging out? I
I
hate to call
think
them sessions.
I think it really depends on whether they live in my neighborhood or not. Because my friends that don't live in neighborhood, their parents and my parents have to arrange transportation. But if they're in my neighborhood, I can just call them and ask them like, do you want to go to the gas station? And then I ask my parents, yes, his parents, then we ride our bikes to the gas station.
What's so great about the gas station?
I don't know. Well, it's like a gas station with a grocery store inside.
Oh, okay.
And it has like, we usually get like a slushie or.
Oh, yeah. Right. So one of the things AJ said is that he will ride his bike to the park and there will be other kids there just playing. Is that the case where you are too? That, you just sort of see who's around as opposed to organizing everything beforehand? No? You don't just go, like if you went to the park, would there be other kids there to play with?
Usually when I go to the park, it's the kids there are yeah, usually a lot younger than me.
Oh, it's like the kids with their parents or nannies or babysitters or something. It's not
Yes.
kids. So the kids don't go to the park just on their own, like by your age?
No.
Okay. So what do you think when you see the Stranger kids, the Stranger Things kids? I always want to call them Stranger Danger kids, which is absolutely off message. When you see them having that kind of freedom, what do you think? I mean, like, what goes through your head? Anything?
I wish that I could have that.
Ooh.
Just sort of growing up in that era of being able to go off and do all those crazy things and just, I don't know, go on a lot more adventures without it being sort of like supervised. It seemed like a lot of fun.
Do your friends talk about that at all?
Yeah, no, we talk about it. Like, we are lucky because our parents do let us go out and do stuff, but I don't know. I feel like it's a cool place to grow up. We've got good music and all of that. So
That's good music. Wow.
Yes, the 80s rocked.
Oh, imagine if you were around in the 70s. Oh my God.
That was disco. Don't listen to Lenore.
Oh, the
She knows what
70s.
she's
Yeah,
talking
well,
about.
the 70s was really the 60s. People forget. Doesn't matter. What about, in Stranger Things? And have you guys seen E.T.? Anybody seen E.T., the movie? Does that sound like ancient history? That's like asking, did you see Birth of a Nation? It's like so old. In E.T., there's a kid. Oh yeah, AJ, what?
My friends,
Yeah.
like, they have, like, like they could just, not saying they could go like anywhere they want, but like they have like way more freedom than I do. Like they could go to like how do I, they're like they could go like really far
On their bikes.
on their bikes, where I could only go to like the park and certain places. But like they could go all the way down to like the it's the like there's a bunch of stores. There's this place and there's a bunch of stores and like food spots, and they always go eat there. And like I'm never with them when they do that stuff, so I never really got to go. But like I don't think I would be able to go. But like probably would go, but I'm probably not supposed to go. But yeah. They have a lot more freedom than I do.
Why do you think that is, AJ? And I know your mom's probably listening, so
She's not
Maybe to take the
she's not
change.
next to me right now. She's in the room.
so why do you think they have more freedom than you do?
So they're like like two of my friends, their their moms are not home that much. So
Okay.
like their mom doesn't really care, I guess. Like where they go.
All moms care.
Oh, they do?
Maybe they don't know.
All moms care. Yeah. And maybe they don't. Maybe they think that their kids are ready for it or whatever.
But
So has like, it doesn't all have to be about the show, but are there things that you feel like you're ready to do that you're gonna ask your parents if you can start doing? Are there any sort of new things that you feel like you're about to be able to do them or about to be, I don't know, wise enough and ready enough to do? Maybe ride your bike somewhere, or do you guys go on overnights? Do you go on sleepovers?
yeah.
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 Yeah. What age did that start? Do you remember?
Like a few years ago. Like 2 years ago. Like when COVID like ended, kind of.
And also started I
I
think,
started.
about 2 years ago.
It's like a sleepover started before COVID.
Oh
and
yeah.
then after COVID. or,
Yeah.
like, we could, yeah, like 2021, I could like see people again.
Right. Things were suspended for a while.
Yeah.
Sleepovers for me,
Mm-hmm.
I think like my first sleepover was probably 6 or 7 years old with my best friend. So definitely, I think with my closer family friends, there's always sort of been that, oh, it's okay if you go sleep over at their house, like we trust the parents and all of that. But yeah, I feel like being able to just go sleep at anybody's house, like friends that my parents haven't met, I still
Mhm.
haven't been doing that because it's just, I don't know, they don't really know what sort of situation I'm walking into then compared to a family friend's house.
Mhm.
I'm curious, I want to ask a question because I know, as you brought that up, that when I was a kid, there was a lot of sleeping over happened all the time. There was also a whole lot of eating dinner at friends' house or
Yeah.
having friends
Oh,
eat
that's
dinner at my
right.
house. Do you guys do that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do that.
Silas, I'm curious, is that something, okay, so you tell me that, is that something that would just all of a sudden, hey, mom, can AJ stay for dinner? Is that the way that stuff goes now for you guys? Or is it something that you plan further in advance?
Uh, for me, not in advance really.
It's more
Like,
spontaneous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It could just be you're hanging out like at a friend's house and the parents will ask if you'd like to join for dinner. And a lot of the times I'll call up my parents like, hey, can I stay over for a little bit? And
Do you ask first what mom's cooking?
no,
Oh,
no,
Is mom cooking? Is the other question.
yeah.
Right.
I
And
guess I
then,
made a big assumption that that everybody's having dinner together, sitting around the table at the same time. And sometimes that's hard to do nowadays. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
that's a good question for you. I'd love to hear from each of you. Do you have family dinners most days?
yeah.
Or is that
No.
not something that's happening in your house because you're too busy or schedules?
Well, my mom like is working a lot, so like she makes dinner and then makes herself a plate and then goes back to the room because she has to like work again.
Mm.
So we don't really have family dinners.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like
Let me ask a question about your after school time. Do you have a lot of free time? Or are you in mostly, like organized activities, whether that's sports or chess club or tutoring?
well, what's free time?
Free time
what
is
do you-
time that you can fill a way that interests you, not because you have to be somewhere or be doing something that somebody else says you have to do. And I don't even know, Silas, do you have are you on a sports team? Are you in chess team? What do you do?
well,
Would you,
Wait, Silas talking. Yeah.
during basketball season, when I get home, I don't have much free time. But like right now, basketball's not going on, so it's I have more free time to hang out with friends.
Mhm.
It's sort of the same for me. When it's not a sports season, it's definitely a lot more free time. And especially during the summer, just I'm home alone for most of the week just because people are working. And so being able to kind of call up your friends, hey, do you want to go hang out, is like really nice to be able to have that and be able to do that.
Do you guys wish you had more free time?
I do.
Yeah. Like why?
Because I mean, usually, when I hang out with a friend, I won't have much time before I have to go home.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's nice to have that free time, especially during the summer, because you can have impromptu sleepovers and just there's a lot more relaxation instead of knowing you've got to go to school the next morning, so you can't be out too late.
I mean, that was one of the strangest things about Stranger Things, I think, is that those kids don't seem to have anything to do after school. They're not doing homework, they're not going to Little League. They are always they're available for each other and for whatever happens. And I wonder if that seems like something that will never happen again. I mean, does that seem like an old-fashioned thing?
Sort of. There was a clip in Stranger Things season 4 where you see it's not a big spoiler.
Okay.
Lucas is off on his own and someone knocks on the door looking for Lucas, and Erica is sort of like, he hasn't been here for a couple of days. I have his back, but at this point he owes me the Nintendo. And so, I don't think nowadays that could even slide. A kid being like gone overnight without some parent like freaking out and worrying.
Here's a question I really want to know. Do your parents talk to you about the olden days like that? What have they told you about the olden days that seems amazing or incredible?
They told me that when they were a kid, they could ride their bike to the store and just get a pack of cigarettes with a note.
You mean for their parents?
Yeah, with a
Yeah.
note from their parents. And like now you have to have an ID, and like, I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think you could do that anymore. How about you guys? Anything that you've heard from the olden days?
Yeah. I mean, with my dad, we talk about it a lot. It's sort of a daily conversation just because I do love Stranger Things, so it always comes up. We talk about all the music. He used to go down to the record store and buy records. He still has a crazy collection, so I get to listen to a lot of it. But just going down to the sandwich shop or someplace like that in Chicago, and he told me at like 11 years old he'd have to talk really loud so that the man like making the sandwiches could hear him. It was always so loud there, and just going off on his own and doing that. It seems really exciting.
And does he want to give that to you?
I hope so. I have a record player and I steal his records. So
You have a record player?
maybe, yeah.
Ooh,
it's up to
those
him.
will be worth a lot of money someday. You hold on to those, as you know, once
He's
if he
got-
passes them to you,
Yeah.
that's your retirement fund, Morgan.
That's so wild. You should have
Yeah.
brought it on. How about you, AJ? Do your parents ever tell you about the olden days?
They told me that like they would listen to like the radio.
Yes, they did.
Like
Some of us still do.
they couldn't like
Without Alexa even.
they couldn't just automatically play a song. They had to like wait for it to come on the radio. Like
Yeah.
Oh, the horror.
Really, that's how we learned patience.
You know what
Waiting for
else
those
we
songs.
did? We used to call the radio station and make
they
requests.
called they called it.
We'd say, hey, would you play such and such? Because, you know, we hadn't heard it and we wanted to hear it. Yeah.
Even win prizes on the radio. I want a clock radio. How would it feel to live in your parents' era? Would you like it? I mean, you wouldn't have your phones. You wouldn't have, streaming. You wouldn't have Stranger Things. Why are you shaking your head so much, AJ?
I don't want to live in that era.
No?
This era.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You could be a Stranger Things kid. You could hop on your bike. Like have free time, sleepovers,
I have a
hide
lot-
people in your
I have
basement.
I have a lot of sleepovers.
Yeah.
Like
Silas, I want to. Silas has been quiet, and I know he's got some internet issues, so I want to grab him if we can. Would you live back then, or would you be, or are you happy now?
I think I'd be happier now just because like well it'd be there'd be no internet, be I mean
Yeah.
it's
Just can't imagine life without computers and cell phones, huh?
yeah.
Morgan, what about you? Would you go back if you could?
Yeah, my parents and I go back and forth on this because I'll always say while we're watching the show, I wish I could live in the 80s. And they're always like, well, you won't have your phone, you won't have this. But I think I go to sleepaway camp most summers. And so we don't have our phones. And last summer it was for a month. And I think when everybody's sort of in the same boat where you don't have those electronics and those distractions,
Right.
it's sort of the normal. And so I think going back then and just having the freedom, and I feel like if I grew up in that time, I wouldn't miss the phone because I didn't really have them. So
Taking them away is different than if you'd never had them. And what do you think about, have any of you played any video games? Because, you know, the arcade, we did a lot of that hanging out at the arcade. And if you've tried any of those old video games?
Yeah, I've been to arcades before.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah, I guess like what is it, like the old Mario. We've got that. But on a
That's
Nintendo
not even
Switch.
old, Morgan.
My God, my son plays that now.
That's not 80s.
You have to play on a cathode ray tube. Morgan, can you just tell me a little bit about camp? Like, what's different about camp when nobody has a phone and you are sort of thrown back into the olden days? What
Yeah.
feels different?
I mean, when we're in our bunk, so we'll have bunk time for an hour or two a day. And it's just sort of everybody sitting around together, playing cards, reading books, and talking, instead of where if you were to go to a friend's house today, you might see two people sitting on opposite ends of the room just looking at their phone and doing something. And I think that there's a lot more social interaction, and maybe that's because we are kind of forced to be together, but nobody's really pouting. Everybody is enjoying like having that company all the time.
So it's obviously it's more social,
Yeah.
and the reading books thing,
Yeah.
nobody's reading books when there's a phone. Is that the idea?
I still like to read books, but that
Yeah.
summer, I think in like one of the weeks, I think I read 4 or 5 books, just because that's how I wanted to spend my free time. It was really nice.
Wow. Right, Silas, it looks like you have a hand raised. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To add on to your question about video games, I've also played on a old Atari before.
Old.
But I mean, then it broke, and
It's like I listened to the Edison cylinders and they were not so good. Let me ask you one question about tracking. Are you guys, when you leave the house, do you have a phone with you all the time? And if
Yes.
so, do your parents always know where you are?
yes, my parents use my phone to track where I am
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
whenever I go anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. There's an app called like Life 360 that sort of has your location. I have that on my phone. I don't know if they actually check it, but
Yeah.
I think just in case, they've always got that.
So what would it feel like to leave the house without the phone? Or if the phone is, that's a complicated question because part of it is how you're going to be in touch with your friends and texting everybody. But what if your parents, what would it feel like if your parents didn't know where you were, which is obviously a huge part of Stranger Things?
Then they'd probably just call me and ask where I was. Like they
What if
still.
Yeah, I'm almost imagining like, what if the telephone you function was turned off and the tracking function was turned off? What if they couldn't get in touch with you until you were at somebody else's house, or like like if we're talking about Stranger Things, and they go to somebody's house, they can call from that phone, or if they find a phone booth where you have to put money to call people, it's an ancient technology. What if you weren't in touch with your parents when you were out in the world? How would that feel? Or does that seem crazy?
I think that it would be like a little weird, but I'm trying to think. It doesn't seem like too crazy to not be checking in with them every single second of the day. Because I really don't. I'll have, days where I really don't talk to them until they get home from work. But I do think it would be weird to not, be able to call them if I was out and needed something or any of that. I'd have to look for either a landline or a payphone. And I don't think that there's too many of those anymore.
No, right.
Yeah.
They're in the scrap heap. How about you? Just to not be able to be in touch with your parents for like a stretch of time after school, say when school let out until say you came home 2 hours later after the park. How would that feel? I mean, that is what those kids are doing all the time. How would that feel to you guys?
It's pretty good knowing that like they trust you enough that it's not like they need to know because you're like such a little kid that they need to know what like every move you're taking. I guess it'd feel good to have that freedom.
Have you guys ever had that freedom, Silas or AJ? Like where your parents couldn't reach you or didn't know where you were?
I mean, when my phone is dead, that's all. Like sometimes my phone will be dead, and then I come home like 10 minutes later, and they're like, "Where were you?" Just for and
So who's responsible for keeping your phone charged, Silas?
me. I
Are
mean,
you?
I charge it every night,
Uh-huh.
but I mean,
So do your parents get upset if your phone dies and
yes,
they can't reach you?
yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
AJ, I'm curious. Actually, I'd like to know from all of you guys, how old were you when you got your first, assuming you all have them,
I do.
or if you don't, your first cell phone?
Well, I would think I was in kindergarten when I got an old phone that couldn't make calls unless you were on Wi-Fi. But then when I went into middle school, when I went to sixth grade, gave they gave me a phone that had a service plan.
Right, like a good one, right? Morgan,
Yeah.
how old were you when you got your first real phone?
Yeah, I got my first like cell phone in fifth grade because I was walking home by myself
Mhm.
to and from school. So they wanted like if there was something to be able to call, and then also knowing if someone was picking me up or not.
Oh, yeah. Logistics.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
even then, that phone was mainly like text and call. I could play
Fairly
some
basic.
games, but it wasn't really like that.
Right. AJ, what about you? You've got a phone?
Yeah, I got my like first phone like at the beginning of like my first phone was like kindergarten or like some like
Wow.
no, like not phone, but like to like play games on, like just to have it.
Right.
Like one of those like Android phones. Like
I have an Android phone.
no,
Yeah,
but
really,
like
it's not so embarrassing, right?
no, but like the old like
Mhm.
like the tiny ones, tiny Android phones.
Oh, tiny.
Yeah,
Like the old
definitely.
ones.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We've got some really good questions from our audience, and we've got about 15 minutes left. So I'm going to throw out some questions from them. And I would really like, because these are for your kids, I'd like to get all three of you to answer each of these questions. And so here's a really good one. I like this. And since we're talking about phones and going out on your own, what kind of advice or what do your parents say to you? What kind of advice do they give you before you leave the house?
They give me advice like make sure you like check the like not check the roads, but like make sure you like look both ways and like wear your helmet.
So some safety
I give
tips.
that advice too. Always look
Silas,
both
what do your
ways.
folks say when you leave the house?
They tell me like not to we live right next to a highway, and if you go down that, eventually there's not enough sidewalks. They tell me like not to go down there, even though there is a bike lane. Like
Mhm.
I'm not allowed to just
You've got some limits, it sounds like.
yeah.
Morgan, what are your now? Half the time you probably leave the house and your parents aren't even there, but
Yeah. When I leave the house, like they'll normally say, be safe. And if I'm walking alone, don't take your phone out. Sort of be aware of all your surroundings while you're walking home or going somewhere alone. But that's normally like what I get told. Just be aware.
Mhm.
Yeah, stay alert. What about what have they told you about strangers? Any of you?
Don't talk to strangers.
Yeah.
Sort of the basics. Just you can't trust everybody. So
Don't get in a car with one.
definitely don't
For
get in a
sure,
car with one.
right?
But really don't
Right.
talk with one.
Yeah. And they tell you guys that too?
Yeah.
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 Did you ever talk to one anyway?
No.
I mean, my mom told me to, when I need help this was when I was, like in 4th grade, at the bus stop, like if she was running late, she wanted me to, I didn't have a phone with service then, so to when she told me to ask a stranger to use their phone, but look for a mom with kids
Mhm.
Yeah.
to use their phone.
Do you guys, are you allowed to wait at the bus stop if you take a bus by yourselves in the morning?
I take the bus to school and back from school, and it's kind of like not a big walk from my house. It's like not even a block. It's like
I wouldn't call that a big walk. Right?
like literally like 3 minutes away from my, or
Mhm.
like 5 minutes. Takes me like 5 minutes to get to my bus stop.
Uh-huh.
It's not
And
that. Yeah.
are the kids there by themselves, or are they with parents, or is it a mix?
Their parents come pick them up, but not mine.
Okay.
I ride my bike 1.5 miles to a bus stop,
Wow.
lock it up, and
Wow.
then unlock it, then ride it back home.
Wow. That's practically a Stranger Things thing. Okay.
Morgan, how do you get to and from school?
I take the bus most days. So the bus stop's only a block away from my house. So I'll walk over there. And with high school, everybody's by themselves. But I remember in 5th grade, we had 1st graders on our bus too. And so a lot of them, their parents would be there. But at my stop, it was just the kids. So, you've got a lot of older siblings with the younger kids. And so the parents sort of trusted us to, you watch out for everybody and make sure everybody gets on and off the bus.
Yeah. Let me give you another question from the audience. Do you think that it's more dangerous in the world today or back in the 80s? Do you think it's more or less dangerous than the 80s?
I don't really know if it's more or less dangerous. It could be the same, but we do have technology in the news and a lot more like ways of spreading information. So it could just be that a lot of that stuff's more publicized.
Silas?
I think it's less dangerous now because crime rates have been going down, but just with everything now, when crime does happen, you're more likely to find out about it.
Silas, how do you know that? That's something that I'm always talking about. And most people think that crime has been going up since the 80s and it's been going down since the 90s. How do you know that?
I think I was talking to my mom and she told me that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you guys see a lot of stuff on the news. Do you think all of the news and the media, because they tell us these things, right? Does that make your parents more nervous? Do you think that seeing things on the news or in the media makes your parents more nervous about what they let you do?
I think you go, Silas.
You go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't think it really affects my parents that much, but I could definitely see how it could affect other parents because, hearing all this stuff that happens on the news, it can be scary and they really do want to keep their kids out of harm's way, even if, it really is not all that bad.
Can I ask a question? Unless Silas, you have something else about why you think your parents are scared. What do you think about the parents in Stranger Things? Are they crazy to give their kids that kind of, freedom, independence, whatever you want to call it?
I think Dustin's his mom doesn't give him that freedom.
It's true. She's always
There's
worried.
a scene where he's like, honey, where are you going? And he just runs off, and then but
Yeah.
Mike, his parents just don't care.
Definitely. Yeah.
His dad is
Yeah.
always asleep.
His dad is a lug, right? Yeah. And I'm waiting to see what happens with the mom and the that hunky bad guy, which is just a plot that is subplot that's brewing right now.
Yeah.
We shall see. And what age do you think kids should be sort of out and about on their own, on their bikes, riding around, doing things independently?
I would say like 10, maybe 11, like my age. Because
Mhm.
I didn't really get to ride like I do now, like back when I was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I
So
started-
your mom giving you more independence as you get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when I got into 5th grade, I could like I started like being able to go to the park with all my friends and stuff,
Mhm.
and like doing way more stuff.
I mean, to me, I guess it's my little brother. He's going into 3rd grade, and
Mhm.
he'll get tasked to go across the street to the neighbor's house and like go pick up something. And so I think even at a young age, giving them some sort of freedom, because it also at that young age you're building the confidence with them, like, oh, I can go do this. I can walk across the street by myself, and there's not, nothing's going to happen to me as long as I'm safe, and look both ways. So I guess maybe 9 or 10 years old is when you like send them off to the store,
Yeah.
a couple more streets down, sort of say, hey, go do what you need to do. You can go walk to your friend's house by yourself. But I think letting younger kids have that small freedom to just walk across the street kind of build some confidence within them.
Morgan, you mentioned, I know you've got a younger brother and you just mentioned him. But then you also talked about having a whole lot of freedom to do what you wanted during the summer because your folks were at work. So is your brother home with you during the summer, or does he have a whole different set of rules, or how's that
He's
working?
home with me. Yeah. And like we've got other people he'll go out with his friends, and yeah.
So you're in charge of your brother during the school day, basically in the summer?
If I'm at my dad's house, yeah, I've got him most of the time. I'll hang out with him. We can go swimming and all of that. But he has a lot of play dates. He's a popular dude.
Good to know. Good to know. We've got about 5 minutes, and I have a funny question. This one makes me laugh because we've got one of our parents on the not your parents, by the way, so you won't get in trouble for answering this. One of the parents, I know she's been with Let Go for a long time, wants to know if kids today, or kids or hang out with, no, you don't have to incriminate yourself, swear as much as the kids in Stranger Things do.
No.
No? Do you think the kids in Stranger Things swear a lot?
Yes.
Okay.
I hadn't even noticed that. They do?
Yeah.
Oh
Some
my
of them
gosh.
more than others.
Okay.
Nancy's got a bit of a sailor's mouth on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Okay. I'll
kids-
listen for it. Right.
yeah, kids my age, there is cursing, but I don't think like in every single sentence. There are some exceptions to the rules that really do
Sure.
have a mouth, but it's not, I don't think, as dramatic as it is in the show.
Yeah. AJ, what about you and your friends? Do you hear a lot of cursing? You can say you don't do it, but tell me about your friends.
Well, my friends do a lot. Not a lot, but
But some.
they do it because like I don't think they're like told not to, but
Wait, you're disappearing, AJ.
Huh? I
You're
am.
disappearing. There you are.
There you
Okay.
are. Your
Yeah.
computer's moving. Silas, what's going on with your friends? You guys swear much? Do they?
No. Not really. My friends. It's mainly a lot kids in my class that are like
Okay, all right.
Wait,
Well, it's,
wait,
I,
can
I have to share because you're not supposed to be keeping an eye on chat, but there was a parent who said that possibly there may be more cursing related to how close you are to demogorgons. So I guess we can say yes, in those situations, all bets are off, right?
That's true, right?
Yeah.
So this is just a philosophical question. I don't even know if there's an answer to it, but I'm wondering, do you wish you had not just the freedom, do you wish you had a chance to be brave like those kids? I mean, they're doing so much together. They're so fiercely loyal to each other, and they keep facing things that I was too scared to watch for a couple seasons. So do you wish you had a chance to sort of prove yourselves?
Maybe not like to that extent of fighting crazy monsters in the Upside Down, but yeah, maybe being able to like be put in a situation where you do sort of have to put on a brave face and do something.
Yeah, without being able to summon help. You can't
Yeah.
call your parents or text anybody. How about you guys? Do you wish you had a way to see what you're made of, to be brave in the outside world? And like we said, it doesn't have to be against a slimy monster. That ever occur to you? I mean, it might be the dumbest question ever, but I'm just curious. No.
Okay, Silas and AJ, you're not answering. So my question is, so let me ask, do you not ever want to have a chance to be brave? Or do you have trouble kind of even picturing what that would be?
Like, if I had, if I was in the world of Stranger Things, and I mean, I wouldn't want to be the one to go into the Russian bunker.
There's a good point. We didn't even talk about the fact that there were Russians and
Right.
bunkers and yeah.
And evil
AJ, what about you?
scientists.
Would you like to be brave, or are you just not sure what that would look like today?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Hold on.
There you go.
Oh,
Okay.
there you are.
Oh, all right. So I think it's just because like I don't really like want to face that like Demogorgon stuff.
Well, of
I
course
to put
not.
it that way.
Like that, I feel like that'd be kind of scary.
Me
Like
too.
really scary.
Sure.
So like I don't think I would want to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
Yeah.
I kind of want to be brave, but like I wouldn't like go like start stabbing the Demogorgon. Like
I don't know.
Well,
You
I'd
might
want
if
you
you were in
there.
that situation.
I would want to be close to Nancy because Nancy always got a gun on her hip.
True. Yeah.
Nancy's always got the gun.
she's tough.
Every season.
True. Well, we've come up on an hour, and so it's time for us to close. I think that it's been really interesting to hear some of your opinions, and I think for Lenore and I, it's kind of eye-opening.
Everything's
I think the
eye-opening.
biggest thing I take away from this, Lenore, probably you too, is that you only know what you've experienced. And so somebody like us that have seen the world change at this point, if you'd asked me in the 80s if I wanted to live in the 60s, I would have been like, no, they don't have good music and
they didn't have color TV.
So it's interesting because we all grow up in our own generation, and so getting glimpses into previous generations is a little different perspective. Thanks so much, kids. All of you, very much appreciate that you were able to join us, especially AJ. I can't believe that you got out of school for this.
So
As
did
a former
Silas.
fourth grade teacher, if I'd known that, I would have said no.
I would have said yes.
But anyway, so really great to have you guys with us. We'll send an email out. You'll get to see it too. the recording will go out to everybody, and then you can share that with friends or anything, or look at it and
Nice.
worry about whether you had hair out of place or something like that. I know I hate watching myself on video. I also say way too much. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close.